Perfect. So I will start this career talk session tonight. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. And I'm extremely happy to have Shaila and Stra here with us tonight. These two guys from London, and they attended the Master in Luxury Management at IUM. And this is mainly the reason why we asked them to participate to this session, focusing on fashion and accessories field. And I leave them the floor to present themselves, and then we will go through the questions. And feel free, guys, if you have any questions, to write them in the Q&A, in the chat. So at the end of the presentation, during the presentation, we can manage to answer you. Thank you, guys. I leave you the floor.
Well, yeah, hi everyone. Well, I mean, Enrica presented me, but my name is Shaila. Just to give you an overview of what I do. So I'm an operations team coordinator in Cartier in the UK. I mean, the UK is one of the biggest markets for our brand, and our Bond Street boutique, for example, has been #1 in high jewelry sales for 5 years in a row now. So very interesting, a lot of work, and obviously I can deep dive afterwards into what the position consists of.
Yeah, so in case you wonder, we're in the same room.
Sorry.
Just right next to each other on the laptops here. My name is Strahinja. They call me Stra. As you see, Enrica called me Stra as well. I'm a senior client advisor, team leader, as you want, for a clienteling team in Louis Vuitton in Harrods. I've been working for the company for almost 4 years now, flying like crazy. And yeah, that's a little bit of it. And we can go deeper into it later as well. So.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I would start asking you if you can describe a little bit more about your positions. So what do you do basically?
Yes, I'm happy to start. So as I just mentioned, so I'm an operations team coordinator. My role is based in the head office. So I am the primary point of contact for the retail and the head office teams for all operational support. So this is an internal and external client-facing role where I'm considered like a brand ambassador and represent the company professionally at all times. So my position is very varied, and I'm in constant communication with different stakeholders. So I would like to say it's a mix between client, account management, operations, events, and retail all in one. It involves leading all of the operations to ensure that the stores are running smoothly. So this encompasses things like ordering from uniforms to POSM orders, like all the bag certificates that they need in the actual stores, wholesale orders, then dealing with the maintenance and the cleaning of all of our stores, the organization of pop-ups. Now, for example, we just opened a new Cartier pop-up in our Selfridges in London, UK. It also involves providing support to the events team with all the different events happening in our stores, leading all the projects that have been pushed by international. So things, for example, they wanted to increase sales in perfumes. So they commanded us with the task of finding a perfume ambassador to have in our Harrods Harrods boutique, sorry. It also involves all the new digital tools that have been developed by HQ. It's up to our market and to our department to implement this within all of our stores and ensure that these are actually working and that everyone is fully trained, that we kind of oversee the whole deployment in every single store, and then we feedback and report back to the head office and the HQ more specifically. And then we also have bigger projects which can take anywhere from 6 months to 1 or 2 years, which is, for example, the analysis of the customer journey flow within all of our stores and all the different changes that all the different departments need to make in order to make everything better and for the customer journey to be more flowing. And then also part of my role is being part of trainings and the whole reporting and analysis back to the retail director. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer it. Stra?
Yes, so for me, as I said earlier, I'm a senior client advisor in Louis Vuitton in Harrods. Harrods as a store is one of the largest and best performing stores in the whole EMEA region, even globally. As a senior client advisor of clienteling, I'm also actively managing the sales floor and supervising the whole client experience. So I'm store-based. In my clienteling team, I work closely with my CRM expert and 5 or 6 different client advisors. They're part of the clienteling team. We are providing the whole Harrods team, which is plus minus 140 people at this stage right now. We're obviously hiring some more after COVID. We are providing them with the support for taking care of the top clients in the store. We are a point of reference to the client development team in the head office. We take care of the client gifting, client nominations, and operational support as well for any global events and fashion shows, or any in-store activations too. For example, if we're doing any pop-ups locally, even, for example, Valentine's Day animations, that will go through my team as well. I also support team with preparing and delivering proper training in order for us to ensure the continuous and improved clienteling know-how. So that way we can help drive any specific product categories depending on the time of the year as well. As a team lead as well, I'm providing coaching, feedback, and direction as a whole to the team and inspiring them to become top performers of the whole EMEA region, which we've actually just become. 2 weeks ago, we were the best-selling store for ready-to-wear in the whole world.
Congratulations.
A lot of hard work, but we managed with a really, really good teamwork, and it's mostly my team.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how the UK can be considered such a small market, but it's actually growing incredibly fast. And all of our stores, I mean, you just mentioned it, but even ours, they're top performing within the global scale.
People were scared of Brexit, but actually...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, despite of Brexit, apparently things are gonna, working very well.
We're really blessed with that, to be honest.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Okay, great. Since your roles and your position are extremely rich, I would say various, I would love to ask you which kind of skills you think are needed to succeed in your role, industry, kind of companies. I mean, you can decide how to answer this question, but I think it would be very useful to know a little bit more.
Okay, I'll start. So, I mean, my role is very dynamic and it changes every day, especially being in operations. You can imagine we're dealing with problems since 8 o'clock in the morning until like 12 at night. So the skills that you need to be very dynamic because everything keeps changing. You need to be very quick in reacting and really proactive. So for example, if your manager is not inside, you need to have and be in a position where you're comfortable with taking the right decisions, and also being proactive in a way that you're just imagining every possible scenario that can go wrong and will go wrong, and then just taking the steps to avoid them. I think communication skills are very important, especially for Cartier. We have really different types of personalities in our stores. So in Bond Street, we have people that have been there for 25 years, whereas, for example, our Harrods and Selfridges teams are very young and dynamic. So you need to understand even the way you communicate with all these different people and how you approach projects is completely different. So that's a very important one. Obviously, you can learn it with the role, but if you have it, then great. And then attention to detail and time management, it's a must-have. To be honest, the background that I had, I can talk a little bit more afterwards, but it just made my life so much easier because coming from events, I was dealing with this type of things every day. So if you do have a background like that, or if you're interested in something like that, or you're a very proactive person, I think you would really do very well in my role.
Now, for us in Louis Vuitton and Harrods in general, I mean, it's a lot of similar answers in a way, but from a shop floor perspective, I would definitely say soft skills. You would need to be someone who is a great communicator, as Shaila said as well. Listening skills as well to discover that client, but also you need to have the positive attitude and obviously willingness to learn, because every single day is different and you never know who's going to be in front of you as well. Definitely working under pressure Sometimes when I start my shift, I would have 10, 15 different people asking me for 10, 15 different directions and authorizations. And sometimes you just need to be quick and take a risk with some decisions because, you know, that's part of the job as well. In general, for luxury industry, I would say clienteling. Obviously, I'm biased because I work in clienteling, but I would say it's a very important category because and very important mindset because for every luxury brand, client loyalty is the #1 focus, especially before and after COVID as well. So someone who is good at building relationships, meaning being able to turn the first-time client into a brand advocate and nurturing that how do you say in English, like a long-term relationship, basically. And I believe that this is where positivity and a positive attitude and interpersonal skills can come in very, very handy as well.
Okay, very clear. And concerning what you just, the two of you mentioned, connections, relationship, how important is, in your opinion, the networking comparing to the technical skills to succeed in this kind of, I mean, at least in your industry or your role?
To be honest, I think it depends from country to country. I mean, obviously the culture plays a big role. I did find that in the UK, networking is very important as they disregard education sometimes. They even asked me the questions of, you know, why did you spend so much time studying? Which it's a little bit hard, especially when you just came from, you know, studying a master's. But however, it's true that they are willing to hire people that come recommended or that, you know, we are putting forward as a referral. However, that does not mean that, you know, you don't need or require the technical skills. The networking can actually get you the job, but in the end, you need to prove yourself that you can stay and maintain yourself in that job.
I feel like it's all about finding that. Obviously, you need to have technical skills, as you say, but also finding that right person who's actually willing to take a bet on you and willing to give you the platform to prove yourself as well. Obviously, that comes through network. I feel like that's the description of the UK.
Okay, very interesting. And to go a little bit more in deep dive on this part, I would like to understand if IUM and Monaco in some way helped you in build a kind of networking. I mean, which was the added value in doing IUM or leaving Monaco also in these terms or even in other?
Yeah.
For me,
you okay. Go, yeah.
Okay. I feel like obviously having a master's degree in luxury management, it's an entry ticket to the luxury industry, but that added value for me personally in Monaco, what I appreciated the most was the fact that all professors had such a long professional experience in the field. We had a unique opportunity in a way to have all of them be sort of like our mentors as well, because you have someone in front of you that has so much experience, and they're literally, you can just ask them anything you want and they will know the answer, or at least they will guide you in the right direction. Because besides from technical skills, they teach you how to think in a different way and constantly improve in a workplace. I always remember Mr. Matteo Atti. I'm not sure if he's still active in IUM, but he always used to say to us to be aware of what kind of value you bring to the team, and always be aware of what kind of value other people bring into your team. And once you have that kind of mindset, it's much easier for you to progress further. And obviously technical skills you learn, but it's those relationships that you stay in contact with. You know.
Yeah.
If I answered. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
I think his answer was perfect. I don't have such a contribution because I did study the part of hospitality and events and then ended up in retail. So I do think that the whole master's is better targeted towards the retail than the hospitality, but I think he perfectly covered the answer. Because
as I said earlier, before we started recording this, I feel like compared to my previous university back in Oslo, it has around 7,000 to 8,000 students, but here we are such a good community in IUM. Even once you leave, like alumni is such a stronger connection, if I can say, and it's much more intimate approach to learning in general. and it's a good relationship. Obviously, he's a professor, for example, but you will probably ask them for advice in the future, and they're really, really open towards it. While in some other places where I studied before, like even in Norway and in China, it was much more one more student, if I can say so. It was a good education, don't get me wrong, but it was it's that tailored approach that I missed.
Yeah, what we say, the human dimension, no? That's what we said before, absolutely right. That's what IUM, gives. And I'm curious because you mentioned also about your background. I would like to understand a little bit better, because it could be interesting, which is actually your background, your path. How did you, in the end, arrive where you are now?
Sure, I can start this one. Well, my career path has been interesting for sure. So all the way back, I first decided to study PR and advertising as a bachelor's degree. And then when I actually started working in an advertising agency, I realized that that was not for me. I had always been interested in luxury clients as well as in events. So I decided to do a little bit of digging and found that IUM was obviously offering the luxury brand management masters, and obviously what a better place to study luxury than Monaco. So off we go, and then after I finished the masters, I worked for 7 months in Amber Lounge, which you all probably know. It was a great experience. However, I did want to grow my career further, and we decided to move to the UK. Because mainly all the brands are settled here or have their headquarters here or either in Paris. And then I got a job as an account executive for an agency that had just gained Formula E as their main contractor. So this is a very broad role. It was a 360 of account management, client, production, logistics, events, e-commerce. So I really learned a lot. And it's so funny because I always thought I was going to end up in events, but life in the end just puts you in a different path.
As always, yes.
Then unfortunately, when COVID happened, so I was, I had to move paths, and I started thinking, I was like, you know what, I do regret not going into the retail branch. So I started applying to companies. It was hard because coming from my background, I got rejection after rejection until you see that one person that actually gives you the chance and believes in you, and then it's just about proving yourself. And here I am.
That's great.
For me, I was a little bit luckier when we moved here, but I'll tell you about that later. Compared to her, because obviously we moved here together. We met in Monaco as well. And for me, I started with my bachelor's degree in Oslo, because I'm born and raised in Norway. I started with a bachelor's degree in Oslo, and then I took an exchange year in China. I wanted to explore different markets and to see if it's for me or not. After China, I moved back to Norway, and I started working as a logistics coordinator in Posten, Norway, which is how do you call it? Like a national mail service, like Post of Norway, basically. I realized I did not like it at all. So that's when I always had this fascination for luxury marketing as well. So I wanted to dig deeper in that in luxury masters as well. That's why I chose Monaco, because in Europe it was one of the few places offering luxury retail management and specialized with courses that I could see myself with, and New Beginning. And after I finished that, I started working for Fraser Yachts as a marketing executive, sort of like an internship, which was not for me. But I always looked at, whenever I join in any company, I look for those transferable skills. What can help me build my career further in the future as well? I did learn a lot. I learned how to do things, and fortunately for me, how not to do things as well. So when we moved to London, I started working in a recruitment agency. Also, again, I somehow knew I was always going to end up in luxury retail in the store. So I was like, okay, it's opportunity that came in front of me in London. it might not be the store or what I want to, but I can learn how to, you know, hire people, headhunt, HR part of the roles, which actually came in handy in the role that I'm currently in. Because at that place where I was working, there was this HR executive that was sitting right behind me, and she was always fascinated. Oh, you lived in Monaco, you lived in China. We had some things in common where we lived as well. And suddenly she quit her job, and a couple months later, I was applying. Let me try to see what I can do. Maybe try LV in case there's any chances there. I just applied for Christmas help. I was thinking, let me try the shop floor for 3 months because ideally I want to go to the head office. And she calls me. She was like, "Why are you applying for these 3-month positions? You can just start working as a client advisor. You have an impressive background. Just go to the interview with the store directors." And the rest is history. I've been in Louis Vuitton ever since. Even though I started for 3 months, but actually it's a perfect role in the sense of you do get admin jobs in the, you know, you do a lot of admin work, but also you deal with people, and it's a lot of people management. So yeah, I started there as a client advisor. I was promoted after 9 months to a year, roughly, into a senior client advisor for exotics category, meaning all the crocodile bags and ostrich and python bags. That was my category. After 1 year working in that category, I was put into clienteling team, which was a completely new approach for me. There was a lot more connection with the head office, a lot more bringing the clients into the store versus just taking care of one product category. Now I was suddenly involved with 10, 15 product categories, and you're overseeing all of them with obviously help of team managers as well as directors. So yeah, it's been a
extremely interesting path.
I
Yeah.
just want to jump in and just one thing that I saw, obviously, we had this career fair in IUM, and I'm just speaking for you, please interrupt me, but he did have a conversation. No, it's just a story. He did have a conversation with a retail director, I think it was, which actually HR, which actually told him, you know, you're not suited for retail. So please, guys, don't be discouraged. If one person tells you that you're not suited for something, don't be discouraged, because that might actually turn to be wrong.
Yeah, because I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's true. It was one of those career days. It was interviews, but obviously, like, maybe at that time you're not ready. It doesn't mean you won't be in the future. You might have.
No, but that's true. A super important advice. Yeah.
One person's no for an answer. You can
absolutely. If you really, I mean, dream for something or think it could be fitting with you and so on, I mean, why not trying? Anyway, I mean, absolutely agree with you. You never know, as we said.
Also, it varies from company to company. So maybe one company might say no, but you might be the perfect candidate for another one. So just don't give up.
Absolutely. Even in the same sector, in the same industry, like luxury, companies are all different kind of styles and so on. So absolutely agree with you. Yeah. And well, we have a question, which is, how did you start looking for a job after your master? So how did you start, actually?
Honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was really hard. I mean, especially we wanted to move together. And the only language that we have in common is English. So we started applying. We tried Dubai, we tried Switzerland, we tried even Spain. And we saw that in the end, the UK was the only country that was actually replying back to all the applications that we were putting forward. But it meant a lot of hard work. At least if I speak for myself, I was waking up every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, applying, then actually reading the job descriptions, ensuring that my CV would be targeted to that job description, writing cover letters. I know it's a pain, but I think that is what makes the difference. Instead of just sending the same to every single position, it might take 5 more minutes, but actually it makes a difference. And yeah, to be honest, like for us, it did take us a little bit of time, but in the end we did get there. And then I feel like the main thing is to secure a position, and then once you have that secured, you can always target the way you do the interviews to really achieve what you want.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And maybe, as you said, you had also these common goals, so kind of more difficulties also in this sense. But Yeah, I absolutely understand.
Discouraging sometimes and
Yes.
like even mentally tough, but you know, you don't have any other option, but you got to look for that job. So
Like, don't get me wrong, I thought I was going to finish the master's, and you know, I was waiting for all the jobs just to be at the tip of my fingertips. It
Sure.
could be the case for a lot of people, but you know, it was not for us, so it just meant a lot of hard work, but in the end we did get there.
Great. So we have another question, which is more related. Which sources did you use for this application? So you said, okay, I waked up in the morning and so on. Which kind of tools or sources, if you have any to suggest?
Yeah.
I think you were a good one for this question.
So honestly, it depends from country to country. So the main one is LinkedIn, but for example, in the UK, they have this specialized kind of recruitment agencies where they have all of the roles. It's called read.co.uk. And there you have all of the roles from every single recruitment company. And then you just get directly to recruiters. Also, really interesting thing that sometimes people do reply to you is if you go to the company that you're interested in and do try to speak to someone in that company, they do have referral programs which are beneficial for them. So they are interested in getting to know, you know, like new candidates, and then maybe if they do reply, have a little chat with them, explain your background, and then they could always refer you. And that's an easier way to get through big companies specifically.
One good option as well is to, as she said, like there's a lot of agencies that are hiring in London. If you just add a lot of those recruiters on your LinkedIn, the jobs will eventually start just coming on your feed, on your daily feed. That was quite useful for me, at least when I was looking.
Yeah, and that's super useful to know, because we have another question about, I mean, do you know if there are internships right now in Cartier or Louis Vuitton? How do referrals work? So your suggestion is actually maybe also to ask the connections to people, to HR and so on LinkedIn, and maybe it could be useful.
Yes, so I'm just gonna talk for Cartier and you can talk for Louis Vuitton, but we do offer internships in various departments such as marketing, retail operations, I think events as well, and PR. So if you're interested in an internship, just feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I can have a little chat with you. I mean, we do have a referral program which increases the possibilities of actually HR giving you an interview. You will still have to go through the same process, so interview with HR, interview with the hiring manager, and then probably with the retail director or whoever they're reporting to. I lost my train of thought, but I think I made my point. Sorry.
That's great. I think that's great. Thank you very much. I mean, it's kind of a precious possibility, absolutely. And I have a question, which is considering that, I mean, your background is pretty various. If you have any, I mean, do you think that people who would like to work in your industry in this kind of roles, which is the best background to have, if there's any best background to have, actually?
I can speak from my experience as well, and from my industry, let's say in the shop floor focused as well. I don't think there's any specific background. I feel like it's more of that added value you bring to the team and those transferable skills. As I said earlier, like people skills, for example, and just keeping that positive attitude and willingness to learn. I feel like it's very, very crucial. Obviously, the soft skills are number one for the shop floor, because you need to be a people's person in order to work in the store. Obviously, even with your clients, even with your colleagues and clients, all it takes is those people skills as well, and the good positive energy. I feel like that's two crucial ones, because technical skills you can learn, but like these kind of skills are very difficult to learn, and it takes a lot of time.
I do think that from the head office perspective, you do need some kind of background, especially for my position. I mean, as I said, operations is not something easy. So if you have a background, for example, like in events, in operations, in a role that's constantly demanding and that you need to prove yourself all the time, and then you're always in constant communication with different people, different stakeholder departments. So you have kind of like a background and you know how suppliers work, how to deal with the finance team, how to deal with issues, how to contact, different types of, I don't know, contractors, or how to place orders. That's always really beneficial. I mean, obviously you learn in each role, in each company is different, but if you do have a little bit of a background in that, it's always beneficial.
I feel like also one thing that is just an advice in a way, more than a skill, but not taking things personally, because in the end of the day, it's all business. And once you have that mindset, it's very easy. It's much easier to then progress in any type of roles as well. Just take a step back and don't let it bother you personally. Remember, it's just business.
I do feel like that's a skill that you've acquired throughout the years, right? Especially in the store.
You'll get some complaints you're dealing with on a daily basis as a floor manager as well. You can't let that energy affect you, because that's a dangerous road to go.
Yes.
That's true. At the beginning, could be a little bit more difficult, but then, I mean, is absolutely something very.
It goes both in the head office and on the shop floor, because we might have some angry clients, but you might have issues with your colleagues as well in the future. Because especially with the colleagues, you don't choose who you work with. Obviously, clients come and go, but the colleagues are there, so you need to have those skills as well. But that's in general.
That's absolutely right. And concerning to this topic, you just said, okay, colleagues you cannot choose, but I mean, clients kind of. So my question is, how do you get your customers? I mean, in such a kind of complicated industry, because luxury is not so, easy. So I would like to understand a little bit more about it.
For us, we do have a very strong marketing team, and those are all the things that we don't take into considerations before actually client comes into the store. So for me, when I see the client, that's when I'm trying to bring my positive energy and get to discover them and cherish those clients that are walking to your store or to your home, basically, because it's part of us and we're welcoming, and it's all on focusing on that clienteling, which, as I said, is part of my team. Building those long-term relationships and really going the extra mile, because if you don't do that, the client they can just purchase a product online, but when they come to the store, you really need to make it magical and make it special for them, so that they remember you and trust you, which is a very important thing. So that way you get a repetitive customer. I would say for you guys it would be a little bit different, because for me, I don't have so much marketing touch.
To be honest, we are very lucky with the two brands that we are working with, because they're very desirable. Like for us, on a Saturday, we have like a 3-hour queue in Bond Street. So it's just crazy.
Crazy.
Yes, I'm not an expert in the shop floor, but what I hear from my colleagues is that there's a lot as well of clienteling involved, a lot of treating your clients. So, if it's their birthday, then actually send them something. And I think it's just about treating every single sale as a special one, because maybe for them, they're just selling a love bracelet, but for the client, they've been saving for 4 months just to actually get that love bracelet. So it's just really the approach that you take towards the clients. And I cannot say exactly what tricks they have, because I'm not in the shop floor, but I do know that it's really about the communication and just building the relationship and then just seeing how it goes.
Because if in case, like, for example, for LV, 2-3 years prior to COVID happened, we were always focused on cherishing those local clients that were right next to us, because we were always thinking, what happens if the tourist doesn't come one day? And you bet 2-3 years later, COVID happens, stores are closed, those local clients are actually the ones keeping you alive and paying your salary. So if we weren't so clienteling focused, I think that it would have been a different image.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of a big effort. And as you said, the experience probably can make the difference, absolutely. And so I would like to understand, also connecting to the COVID you just mentioned and so on, which is the biggest challenges that you face I do not know if you prefer on a daily basis or you faced because you remember the time that you had this kind of tough challenge. I'm curious to know it.
Since you mentioned COVID, might as well use that as an example as well. Honestly, that's one of the challenges that I'm extremely proud of my whole team, not just as a company, showing their strong resilience. We had in the beginning when it was almost a traumatic experience because we were closing the store, there's no product in the store, we're leaving the shop and we're like, we don't even know if we're going to come back because you don't know what's going to happen. After a couple of weeks in lockdown, we had two options: do nothing, or actually use our phones and our CRM apps that we have. Go too much into detail because of the GDPR, yeah.
Absolutely.
Either we sit home and do nothing, or we actually utilize the CRM platforms and start slowly reaching out to the clients. Because believe it or not, when we closed down the whole stores, our WhatsApp was booming. Everyone's like, "Oh, where can I get this bag? Can I get this item?" We even sold high jewelry pieces of a couple £100,000 pounds and high watchmaking as well. Obviously, we started doing it like that while other brands were shut, and they were not like other brands in Harrods. Most of them were closed. They were not even working. We were doing 6 digits per day as well.
Wow.
Not too much into the numbers details, but we organized our team. We were super, super agile. We had a small team of 5 to 10 people in the store, mostly stock and the directors. That's where I really, really admire them. Super best practice. They were in the store. We were working from home, sending emails, all that, while they were just processing the sales for us in the store. We did such a great results because our whole team had a great set of dynamic capabilities. And if you know Professor Klaus, he's all about that. So that one always stuck with me in the back of my head. As I said, we started adapting to the crisis and doing those distance sales. And honestly, I was so proud of how we overcame that whole challenge as well.
Yeah.
I think because sometimes,
go.
Sometimes, it's a tough time. So it was a period of a year and a half, and sometimes you come with a, negative energy. You never know what people are
Sure.
do. And as part of the management, even if your day is not so great, you cannot show it to the rest of the team because you will demotivate and,
Sure.
dynamics. So keeping that positive energy, and we went through it somehow, but we did.
Great challenge to face, actually. Yeah.
That's great. From my side, I'm going to speak a little bit more about our day-to-day operational challenges. I had just joined, I think it was 2 months since I joined, and suddenly one day they call us in the morning and they're like, "Oh my God, the old Bond Street boutique is flooded," because they had just been like crazy storms and rain. So we were like, okay, the manager in our team was still processing from one department to another one. So it's just my colleague and myself. I was like, oh my God, what do? I don't even know how things are working after 2 months. So it was just a lot of adapting and just thinking straight, okay, what steps do we need to do in order to deflood the whole store? So the first thing was obviously close the store, just print a little sign that says, apologies to our clients, please redirect to other stores. Then it's getting in contact with a plumber, with the VM team. Then letting all of the rest of the boutique managers know, just to know that they're getting an increased flow of traffic. It's about relocating that staff to other boutiques and dealing with all of the logistics and operations around, okay, even after the plumbing comes, we need a whole cleaning team just to ensure that, we can open the boutique after 3-4 hours, nothing happened. So those are some of the challenges that I deal with every day.
Wow.
It's really interesting.
But it's interesting because even if they are so different as challenges, the two of yours, the solution is kind of the same. So rethink, reshape, redirect the path. It's kind of absolutely different, but then the solution is the same approach, at least. So
I do think that, our positions complement each other because they're very similar in terms of like, I see it from a head office perspective, and then he would be my point of contact in the store dealing with the same issues.
Exactly. So, and on the same, well, on the opposite, I would say, on the opposite side, I would love to know if you have any best practice that you experienced, that you saw, that you would like to share also to, I mean, as an advice in some way.
I mean, from my yeah, that's a good one. I think to never be scared of sharing your ideas or your opinions, as everything can always be improved. And I think you should be heard, always in a respectful manner, of course, like just don't come wanting to change everything. But just if you think that something can be improved, just always share it, because hopefully they will listen to you and actually do something about it.
Great.
I'd say obviously keep the positive energy, because that gets you going through everything. But as I said earlier, like not taking things personally and just look at it as a business, it will make your life so much easier in general. Another thing that I could say is what I've seen from my director as well, being always very humble, even if because even if the person is a cleaner or whatever it is, doesn't matter your position, you should still look at it from the new starter's perspective, basically. Even if you're a director in the store, there is always something you can learn from someone.
Absolutely. Okay, very interesting. And now I would like to change a little bit, asking you, actually, why did you choose the master in luxury management at IUM? I mean, how did you know about it? Why you at the end decided to,
I think so. From my perspective, I told you I was working in an advertising agency. I was not really enjoying my time very much, and I had always been attracted to, luxury as a whole. And I was like, okay, I want to do something related to events. And at that time, I wanted to go into hospitality. So I started looking online, and obviously I saw this master's in the States, which, it was out of my budget, let's put it that way. And then within Europe, I saw that, IUM came as one of the first searches, and I started digging a little bit more, I was reading about all the classes, all the reviews about people, the fact how, I think it said around 97% of them found jobs afterwards. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. Let me see what this is all about. It really ticked all the kind of like all the things that I was looking for a master's. And I got accepted, and that's it.
But also, it's a perfect cluster. Like you can study luxury many other places in the world, but you won't be exposed to the luxury in general. You have yachts, you have luxury boutiques, luxury hospitality, luxury transportation. Everything, it's top notch. So I feel like it's a very easy choice on that sense for me.
And it's not just about luxury, you also get to experience like the roots of luxury and like the old luxury, it's not just about new money. Like if you go somewhere else, is where everything started. So I think that's a whole different perspective as well, in terms of like how you communicate, the way that you learn from your professors, from the people you're surrounded by, even.
Soft skills, as I always say as well.
Yeah, I completely understand. So actually also Monaco had an influence in this choice, I suppose. It's kind of the mix of the two of them. Okay, because we always say that we do not have a campus, so IUM do not have a campus because Monaco is our campus, that's why. So that's absolutely right, that there is the possibility to, breathe this industry on a daily basis. So that's very interesting. And I have one, I would say, last question. If then there is any other ones that feel free to do, that I'm curious. So if you can briefly describe a kind of your job daily routine. How is it a typical day at the office for you or at the store for you?
Yes.
Too difficult.
Well, as I explained before, so my days are never the same. They do, of course, share some core elements, but you do need to be prepared for the unexpected. However, my tasks are divided into daily operations, all the administrational side of it, and the HQ project implementations. So let's say normally I would arrive around 8:30, log my emails and see what requirements the boutiques are asking for. So as I explained before, this could be anything from placing orders, uniforms, suddenly the payment machines are not working, the IT is unable to process sales. I need to set up vendors, like it just really depends from day to day. And then once I've dealt with all the urgent things, I normally have meetings every day with either HQ or my team. And then we actually go through all the different projects that are the long-term projects and understand where we are. So we need to schedule, like working sessions or workshops in order to ensure that we get going into those projects, where they can take anywhere from 3 months to 1 year or 2 years just to get implemented. These would include things like trainings in the boutiques of, like, for example, now they're developing this whole set of retail OS apps. So having everything more digitalized, such as, for example, like having catalogs and apps similar to like Instagram and, those type of things, or like doing mobile sales. So it means, going to the boutiques, doing testings, doing workshops with managers, figuring out the logistics of the deployment, engaging with the team, rolling it out, and then just working just to get all of that figured out. Yes.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of very different kind of stuff, various, absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
And for me, like every day is different. Like I do have sets of classic, for example, opening routine to do like a daily briefing in the morning, opening of tills, checking in with my team, making sure they're fully updated on all the figures and the targets that we have. I usually have a meeting with my CRM expert and seeing what is our strategy for the week, what do we need to focus on, what kind of.
Because you actually have target for the day and for the week, for the month.
Mostly client advisors. We do have, for example, client advisors have sales targets, but also what are our targets in terms of, for example, just clienteling figures, depending on time of the year. For example, now we do have massive focus on events locally here in London. We do have next week, actually, upcoming Savoir-Faire event in London, big time. So there's a lot of operational support with the head office around that, doing client nominations. And as I said, we have a team of more than 140 client advisors in the store. So we're doing follow-ups with each and one of them to make sure that we have appointments for that Savoir-Faire. Because, for example, all the events that we do, they are events, but in the end of the day, it's a business and it runs on money. So we do need to see the return on investment that has been done, the sales. So yeah, every day is completely different. And on top of all of that, you're still actively managing the shop floor and then any client complaints, classic retail as well, if I can say.
Yeah, great. Well, actually, it's extremely interesting because, I mean, not boring at all, because always the day can surprise you, actually.
In London.
And I think this is something that, I mean, you like, because it's kind of various, you can meet people, there's a lot of interaction. So I think it's extremely, I mean, interesting. So one last question, but because I'm curious, and then I promise no more. And the question is, if you already have like future professional goals or plans, something that you would like to experience professionally speaking in the future.
You can go.
Yeah, for me personally, because obviously I'm a senior client advisor, team leader. I'm a sort of manager in training. So my next logical step is obviously becoming a manager, and I'm working hard toward that. Hopefully this year that will happen. But I would say long-term career goal would be to become a director of a store like Harrods, because, for example, as a director of a store in Harrods, in a lot of other brands, you would be like a retail area manager, and as a team manager in Harrods, because we're the biggest store. you would be like a store manager in many other smaller stores. So
Yeah.
becoming a director in a store like this is something that would set me apart from the competition, and it's an amazing role to have. So that's a long-term goal. Fingers crossed.
So you would like to keep the store life?
Absolutely, absolutely. To be fair, in companies like Louis Vuitton, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in Cartier as well, just because you're in the store tomorrow doesn't mean that, you know, you can always switch to head office and focus on different product categories over there as well. So for now, the goal is to keep the shop floor, because I find the perfect balance between the office and meeting and like working with people. I worked in office since I was almost 16. All my jobs were mostly in the office until like 24, 25. And it's a good change. I like it.
Great.
And then on my side, to be honest, I'm open to possibilities. I don't have my head set on anything. As I've said before, like my background was in events. I still love that. So who knows, maybe in the future, you know, maybe I go more towards that, or even I experience the store. I don't know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's amazing. Thank you guys. I mean, it's always important and inspiring, as we said, to know stories of other people, and we really thank you. So hope to see you soon in Monaco, maybe for a holiday.
I would like to say that obviously at the moment we are hiring in Louis Vuitton. So if anyone is interested in joining, being part of our company, just honestly just add me on LinkedIn, and we can have a chat there. Why not? If you like London, welcome.
Yeah, same.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys, and thank you all the participants today. Thank you very much. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye-bye.